Hi, I'm Nicole Konter. I'll be conducting this interview today. I'm interviewing Stephanie Konter-O'Hara. Stephanie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Stephanie. I am the owner of WellMinded Counseling in Broomfield, Colorado, and I've been a therapist for about 6 years. I primarily work with teens and young adults working on anxiety, depression, disordered eating, self-esteem, and other issues that teenagers and young adults face on their day-to-day life.
Okay. Why did you decide to become a therapist?
So I went to therapy in my young 20s, and I found it to be very helpful and helped me really manage the anxiety that I was facing as I was moving out of college and into the real world. And it actually helped me decide to go to graduate school to become a therapist. I was suffering from a lot of depression and uncertainty and overall anxiety during that time. So I really found my therapist to be really helpful, and I think that really directed me down this path.
Okay. What is your general philosophy and approach to helping? Are you more directive or more guiding?
So I think I balance both of them. Oftentimes I can just be supportive and validating and reassuring to clients. And then other times when it's appropriate, I try to be directive. I use two different types of therapy primarily. One of them is called dialectical behavior therapy, which is a mindfulness-based approach that has four different pillars. Interpersonal effectiveness, which is communication with other people, distress tolerance, which is overall coping skills, emotion regulation, which is trying to teach people how to reframe their thoughts and reframe their behaviors to live a more fulfilling life. And the final pillar is mindfulness, teaching people to be like in the moment and really feel connected with the way that they perceive their day-to-day life rather than kind of living in this fog that oftentimes people experience. And the other one is EMDR. It's eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And oftentimes when we have a lot of either small t traumas like being insulted, perhaps stress over loss of work, or being bullied, those might be small t traumas, where a big T trauma could be something as severe as physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual assault. Oftentimes when we experience those, we have a certain part of our brain that shuts off and isn't able to really help us process our emotions during REM sleep. So EMDR is supposed to help stimulate that REM-like sleep while you're awake to reprocess these emotions and hopefully allow them to be less triggering than they would be without EMDR. So those are the two different therapy practices that I use. So I really dance back and forth between like guiding and being directive as an overall approach.
Okay. What do you think your strength is that you have? What makes you different from other therapists?
So I think my strength is being able to be collaborative and really join alongside clients. I really attempt to relate to them in a way that allows them to feel heard. And I also feel like one of my strengths is being empathetic. And I know a lot of therapists probably have similar strengths, but I think those ones are the ones that at least help me really feel driven to do this work and connected with my clients. So I think even though they're maybe not super different from other therapist techniques, I really do think those are like my strengths.
Okay. What makes you passionate about helping people through their issues?
Well, I think what helps me be passionate is seeing people come in, the first day or maybe even like after a month and they're still really struggling with their intense emotions, and then slowly be able to recognize and help the client notice, like, look, over time with these practices and processing your emotions, like things are getting better and you're feeling more happy and like your life is worth living. And seeing that change really reignites my passion to be a therapist and allows me to feel connected to the work in general.
Okay. So we'll have some random questions. What is your go-to coping skill?
Okay. So my go-to coping skill is actually the five senses. I really like being able to ground in the moment when maybe my emotions are high. So, like for example, one of the five senses is touch. I really enjoy like petting my dogs or feeling the softness of a cushion that I might be sitting on. I enjoy being able to maybe taste, like drinking tea or coffee throughout the day, and really like sink in to those senses and bring myself like back to the moment rather than in like a racing mindset where I might be experiencing some anxiety.
Okay. If you could create a safe place in your mind, where would it be and why?
So my safe place, I have two. One of them, when I'm just like dealing with day-to-day stuff, is imagining myself laying in my bed, cuddling my dogs, maybe eating some chocolate chip cookies, really trying to make the experience as like calming as possible. And then another one, which maybe sounds a little bit silly, is imagining myself in this green pasture with a bunch of dachshunds around and unicorns and rainbows and butterflies, and just like imagining that, especially right before I sleep or if I wake up from a bad dream, really helps me refocus and calm myself when I might be having racing thoughts.
Okay. What is something that you find is helpful metaphor or analogy for coping with difficult times?
So I heard this metaphor back in grad school when I was just finding myself really stressed out and anxious about a lot of things. And it's the metaphor of you can see life as a rose bush. You can either pay attention to the thorns or you can look at the flowers and the petals. You know, life has both, but you can choose what you want to focus on. So if you're finding yourself just looking at the thorns, try to, bring that lens back out and also look at the flowers on the rose bush.
Okay. What moments are you most proud of in your life?
I think any time that I was able to like stand up for myself or, give someone my opinion, even maybe when it wasn't wanted, but being able to stand up for what I believe in is really, I think, something that I am proud of each time that I do it.
Okay. What is your go-to way to use self-care?
So I would say any sort of exercise movement. I like doing yoga, I run, I bike, all of those types of physical movements really allow me to like engage and participate in the moment, and really like block out any sort of, you know, racing negative thoughts or any sort of anxiety that I might be experiencing.
What is the moment in your life that helps you look back on when you were feeling down?
So if I were to look back at a moment in my life and reflect on it, I would say probably when I graduated from grad school, I really thought a lot of times that maybe I wasn't going to make it and it was all going to not work out. But now when I reflect back on it, that's really a moment that I'm really happy like came to be rather than, not. So if I can look back on that moment when I'm feeling like maybe I'm not successful or that I'm not doing everything that I can, like I can like look back and say like, know what, I am smart. I can do this. Like I feel really good about the success that I've had as a person. So if I'm feeling negative and like worthless, I look back on that moment and be like, you know what, I can do this.
Well, that sounds intriguing. Well, that concludes my questions for today. Thank you, Stephanie, for answering all of them.
Yes, thank you very much. And I hope everyone has a good day.